Hello all and welcome to today's video. Today I want to talk to you about three of the biggest issues that we run into as food delivery drivers when we actually accept an order on the platforms and we drive to the restaurant. There are three huge problems that you can run into when you go to the restaurant to pick up your order, and today I want to talk to you about what those problems are and what you can do about them and how you can solve them the easiest way possible. My name is John McFall, and I want to welcome you to the McFallRI channel, where I teach you how to make $25 to $30 an hour doing food delivery, and I also teach you how to make online income. So we have our apps on when we're out here doing food delivery and a good order comes across that you accept. You hit that accept button and then you drive to the restaurant, and when you get to the restaurant, problems can start right then. The first problem I want to talk to you about is when you go into restaurants. A lot of times, even today, when you go up to the counter, the people in the restaurant absolutely ignore you. They completely ignore you and don't even acknowledge that you're there. I've been into restaurants like McDonald's here where there's literally customers that are wanting to order food and pay for the food, and the employees in the restaurant are completely ignoring the front counter. Since we've had the problem with COVID, a lot of restaurants got used to the fact that people weren't coming to their restaurants, and even now that things are opened back up, it's still a problem because the people still have an attitude like they don't have to pay attention to the front counter. So what is it that you do when you get to a restaurant? Because I see a lot of food delivery people walk into restaurants and they get into this situation, and rather than doing anything about it, they simply just stand there and wait and wait and wait until somebody finally acknowledges them. That's not what I do, because I'm there on my time and I'm out here trying to get the most dollars that I can for the time that I'm out there. So when I go into a restaurant, when I am noticing that the people behind the counter aren't paying attention to the counter, I will actually go into the restaurant and I will wait my turn if there's other people at the counter, but I go right up to the counter and I announce that I am there for whatever platform I'm picking up for, and I ask them where the order is and how long it's going to be. So when you go into a restaurant and the people are ignoring you, make sure that you go up to the counter and just don't stand there and wait for them to acknowledge you, because sometimes they won't acknowledge you at all. When you get in there, go right up to the counter and let them know that you're there and what you're there for. The second problem you might run into when you go into a restaurant, once you finally get to talk to somebody, is that they might tell you that they did not receive the order. When you go into a restaurant and this happens to you, there are menus that you can pull up on the app to let the app know that the restaurant did not receive the order, so that you cannot do it. Now, if you do this, the good thing about it is this doesn't go against your completion rating if you have to assign it. However, I take a different approach to it, and I actually get on the phone with support and I actually call somebody. And the reason that I do this is because if you just simply hit the buttons on the app, there are a lot of times where they will give you zero pay for that delivery because you've already taken the time to drive to that restaurant. Sometimes you could be a few miles away, so it's taking you time to get there, and they owe you some type of pay for making the effort to go pick it up. So when I run into a problem where the restaurant tells me that they didn't get the order, I always jump on the phone and call support. Another situation that happens with this, a lot of times it's happened to me, especially on GrubHub and DoorDash, is the people on the support line ask me if I will put the order in and wait for the order to be ready, and you do not have to do this. It is not your obligation to place the order for the platforms, and the reason I'm telling you this is because when you do this, they don't typically offer you any more pay for ordering the food, paying for the food with your card if you need to, and sitting there waiting that extra time for the order to be ready. So you do not have to place the order for the platform if the restaurant tells you that they don't have it, and most of the time you will not get extra pay for doing so. So this is another reason that I call support instead of just using the buttons on the app, because they will try to get you to do things that not pay you any more income for doing it. The third and the final thing I want to talk to you about is this: is you get to a restaurant, you've accepted an order on a platform. The platform has on there the expected time that you are supposed to pick the order up by. One thing I'm going to say about these platforms is they have no problem penalizing you if you are late to a pickup or you are late to a delivery. However, once you get to that restaurant, the restaurant tells you it's going to be 15 minutes or 20 minutes before that restaurant has the order ready. They have no problem with wasting your time when you get there and having you wait and wait and wait and wait. The restaurants don't get penalized for it, the apps don't care, and they only care when you're infringing on their time. So what can you do in this situation when you run into it? You get to a restaurant, you go in there, they say it's going to be 15 or 20 minutes before the order is going to be ready, and you're kind of stuck. If you give the order back to the platform, that goes against your completion rating. If you sit there and wait for an order, then it means that you are going to be wasting time where you could be making money not waiting for an order. So what I do in this situation is it really is dependent on where I am on the apps. If I have a high completion rating, in other words, I haven't given a lot of orders back, I don't hesitate giving that order back to the platform. As long as you stay 80% or above on your completion rating. DoorDash is the only one that shows you your completion rating, so you've got to make a mental note on Uber Eats and GrubHub. But if you know that you have a decent completion rating on the apps, don't hesitate to give those orders back. The other thing that I do, the second thing that I do, is if I know that my completion rating is nearing that 80%, or let's say it's a really busy time and I know that there's a lot of other orders coming in, if I go to a restaurant and they tell me it's going to take 15 or 20 minutes for that order to be complete, I'm like, hey, that's all fine and good. And I will look at the other apps and see what other orders are coming in, because I know in my marketplace what restaurants are quick at getting me orders. And if I'm being told that it's going to be 15 or 20 minutes before my order is ready on one platform, I'll jump on the other ones and see what they're offering. I don't mind, once I've gotten to a restaurant and hit arrived, I don't mind going out and taking orders on other platforms if the order is going to be a while before it's ready. We're out here to make money, and that's the whole reason that we do this, and my time is most valuable, and if an order is going to take forever and I can get a quick order that will pay me well and it will get me back to the original restaurant in the time that I need to be there to pick up that order, I'll go ahead and take orders on other platforms. I did a video a couple of weeks ago where I talked about, I went to a Chinese restaurant. They told me it was going to be 15 minutes before the order was ready. So rather than sitting there, I grabbed an order on Uber Eats that paid me $10.42 to go 1.9 miles. I went and did that while the first order was being prepared. I made an extra $10 because I didn't sit there and wait. The same thing happened the next day that I talked about in that video, where I went to Blaze Pizza. They haven't even stuck the pizza in the oven. I grabbed an $8 and I believe it was 44-cent order going 1.2 miles total from Uber Eats. The Blaze Pizza was on DoorDash. I grabbed that order, delivered it, got back to the restaurant. When I got back, they were just finishing up the first order. My point in this is I made an extra, $10.42 on one day and an extra $8.44 on the extra or the other day, because I didn't just sit and wait for the orders to get done. So you don't have to sit there and wait. Understand your rights when it comes to these platforms. So if you run into any of these problems, there are ways that you can handle it that's going to be most beneficial to you. So take a look at the situation when you go to restaurants and take a look at what's going on and decide from there what your actions are going to be so that you can make sure that you get the money that you're supposed to, and you make sure that the time that you are there is not wasted. It is really important when you're trying to make the most money that you can do in food delivery that you take advantage of every situation and don't just let every situation defeat you. I hope you got a lot out of today's video. And one thing I want to tell you about is my metric spreadsheet. If you don't have your numbers and you don't know what your averages are, you don't know where you need to improve. I threw together a free download for you, and I'm going to throw it up here on the screen real quick so you guys can take a quick look at it. If you look at the left-hand side, you'll see I always put my start time and my end time. This gives me the total time that I've worked. I also put in the miles, and then if you head to the right, you'll see for each individual app, I put the dollars that I made, the time that I worked, and the number of deliveries. Head to the bottom and you'll see it calculates out what your average dollar per hour, dollar per mile, and your average per delivery. To get better at doing food delivery, it starts with knowing where you are. This metric spreadsheet will help you lay out where you are and see where you need to improve. So head down into my description and go grab a copy of it for yourself. I would like to also ask you to like this video and to subscribe to my channel. Finally, I want to leave you with, I hope that you are out there getting the money that you and your family deserve. And with that, I want to say thanks.